Maibuye. Yeah, Africa. No, thank you very much, National Chairperson, and thank you very much to all the participants. We are truly and genuinely humbled that we asked on Tuesday that we invite professionals and entrepreneurs to join us today to make reflections in the process that we are engaged in. And in a very short space of time, we got the response that we got, and it's a very balanced composition of people and professionals and entrepreneurs from different sectors. And we got to receive very, very useful inputs and submissions in terms of the whole process. I want to start with a question which I think has to be responded to, because one of the things that I've got to perhaps very closely witness has been the formations of some of the political parties in South Africa. And I think I've got a far much more better analysis and assessment of what primarily could have led to some of those formations. And I will use that to then draw a very clear distinction between those political parties and the process that we're engaged in now. So after the ANC's 52nd National Congress or Conference in Polokwane in 2007, then of course President Mbeki was not re-elected as the president of the ANC, despite that he was available for third term. And then President Zuma was elected at that time. And then in September of 2008, there was a decision of the ANC to recall President Mbeki as a president and head of state. And those who associated and supported President Mbeki went to found the Congress of the People as an organization. And with his full support, he was part of the planning on the formation of the Congress of the People. And the primary reason for that was that they lost conference and he was recalled as a head of state and president of South Africa. I know this because at that time, I was in the National Executive Committee of the ANC Youth League, and I was full-time in the head office of the ANC as a national spokesperson, head of policy research, and we had to conceptualize and try to characterize what COPE was that time. But primarily was the anger which that comrade is speaking about, which those who supported President Mbeki were expressing against the ANC that was led by President Zuma. That is why COPE did not become a durable program. That is one. Two, the formation of the economic freedom fighters came from different streams. There are those of us who believed that we should take up the struggle for economic freedom in our lifetime outside of the ANC and fight it as a genuine, legitimate struggle. But amongst us, those who said that we must go and constitute the struggle for economic freedom outside of the ANC as a separate organization, there were those who wanted to use that platform as an expression of anger against President Zuma, who was the president of the ANC, elected in 2007 and re-elected in 2012 in Bloemfontein. And how do you notice that? is that against our advice perpetually, like those who work with us will tell you this, that against our advice perpetually, the guidance that the EFF will have from its president or leader will be, let's disrupt Zuma by all means possible, even if on some issues you can potentially agree. That we're just fighting Zuma to the bitter end. It doesn't matter what he says. Zuma comes to parliament, he says that let us try to mobilize 2/3 majority to change the constitution. No, we don't want anything to Zuma to do with Zuma. To the extent that the EFF even fought side by side with the white capitalist establishment to remove President Zuma. Like associated openly with the establishment, because amongst those who were in the EFF leadership, there were those who were saying, no, we are going to disrupt Zuma, we don't want to listen to him on anything, even on areas where there potentially could have been some consensus and agreement. On issues that were going to resolve the crisis and problems of the people of South Africa. And comrades, you'll say, obviously people will say, no, but you were there. Yes, you were there. But there are so many decrees that got to be over-dominant in terms of the direction of the organization. That is part of the reasons why we had to disassociate from such nonsensical approach to politics, where it's, I'm fighting this person to the bitter end. You must listen to some of the things that will be said that, no, we're just fighting. Even where there is potential for agreement on some of the policy questions, and you just throw the wedge wider and wider every day. The third other aspect which we should make honest reflection about as well is that whilst Mkhonto weSizwe could be presented as a formation which should unite all progressive forces, the other underlying aspect which defines some of the people there is to fight the current ANC personalities and leadership because of the fact that President Zuma was recalled as a head of state and president. To the extent that both the EFF and the MK, for narrow purposes, just allowed for a creation of a white government, whilst there could have been some basis which could have united the political parties whose umbilical cords are buried in the same yard, who are united behind the Freedom Charter, have got some degree of a common program, but they say no. If it's Ramaphosa is there, no ways. Personalities. I can assure you now that I'm personally not agitated myself by MK or EFF, and that we could form a political party just because of those two aspects. The reality is that objectively, majority of the people of South Africa have got no faith in this democratic project and the election process. They have given up completely, and they demonstrate that much more vividly. The number of people in South Africa who are above the age of 18 years and above, who are eligible to vote, is 41, 42 million people. In 2024 elections, there was 17-point-something million people who voted. So that is less than 50% of those who are eligible to vote. In 1994, there were 40 million people in South Africa, but 19 million people voted because they believe that this democracy is going to bring up something. So currently, majority of adults in South Africa say these things, we have got no faith in it. We just rather, they let them do whatever they want to do. So we do not have legitimately elected governments because majority of the people have not participated in establishing the current governments. Already the people are speaking as to these things. So what that means is that majority of eligible voters in South Africa have got no faith in all the political parties combined. They've declared a vote of no confidence in all of them combined. This process that we are engaged in now, it's not about trying to prove a point to anyone. It's not about trying to act bigger and much cleverer than any other person. It's to say, let us constitute a platform which will involve all the people of South Africa. I was saying earlier on to the leadership that we must not run into the temptation of cultifying Africa Maibuye. Now, comrades, we are going to form a political movement which will contest elections if all of us agree we should do so. And it will be called the Africa Maibuye Movement, which is going to contest elections. And the values and principles of that party will be shaped by the people of South Africa. We're not tiptoeing around, we're not confused, but we do not want to form a political movement which we just sit in a round table and we think we're intellectuals and ideologues and conceptualize without touching base with the people. There are so many useful things and inputs which we get to even listen to here today. A lot of fresh ideas that are coming up as to what do we do and how do we do things differently. So the comrade who's a forensic auditor, he points to the direct relationship between tenders and political killings and corruption. We advocated for building state capacity in a different organization. But when that organization went into political power, had the power to could stop tenders and build state capacity, was number one in the line to receive tenders. And we realize that those are some of the things that we have to look into. In the process of consultation, we have said and we will always say that we are not going blank or empty. There are certain principles and values that will guide us. Also, we can assure you that part of those principles will be the respect and full recognition of royal leadership in South Africa, because it is not recognized as per the 1996 Constitution of South Africa. It is just noted. So the royal leadership is just noted that, yes, this traditional leadership, but in the legal framework of South Africa, it does not have any defined rules. And we will have to look into that differently. The other principle, comrade, I forgot the name you said, from the new organization that is in public service, the union. The other principle and value is that we are going to be on the side of the working class and workers. And the poor. So we are on the side. So in the class divide between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, we are on the side of the proletariat, if we were to speak in that language. That aspect, we can't form an organization to be a committee that manages the common affairs of those who are the ruling class. We are not going to do that. We are going to fight on the side of the people to represent that is the posture that we will take. And the other important aspect as well, as black people, as Africans, I think an interesting term which is used by the comrade who spoke with the training from Germany and other countries, who said it's going to Burkina Faso now. is the issue of economic activism amongst black people. That there's a simple fact that as black people, the amount of money which we receive as wages, as social grants from government, from the private sector, from entrepreneurial projects, is more than 1.5 trillion every 12 months. But 80–90% of that money we give back to white people and to other people of other origins. We don't spend money amongst ourselves. I can tell you now that even if we were to circulate 30–40% of the income that we earn amongst ourselves and empower ourselves, the levels of black poverty in South Africa was not going to be at the levels that is at now. The levels of unemployment amongst black people was not going to be at the rate that is at now. But we get all our resources, it's Pick n Pay, it's Boxer, it's ShopRite, it's Spar. And the informal trading sector of Pakistanis take about 200 billion of that out to their home countries. We don't get to support each other. We have to lead a process as Africa Maibuye of black economic solidarity where black South Africans support each other with everything, so that we then lead ourselves to collective economic upliftment that is going to change our lives much more collectively. I'm particularly impressed, like deeply touched by the inputs that we have here. And I would think, and I will recommend that to those who are going to be drafting the Constitution, it must be compulsory for Maibuye leadership structures at all levels to have sectoral engagements with the people at least twice per year, biannually. It must not just be an issue for the formation of the party, and after that, we say we don't want to hear from the sector anymore. Or only when there is elections. It must be compulsory that from time to time, we should be guided by the aspirations and the interest of the people in all sectors, religious sector, and different processes. Now, just to give an update, the other leaders are still going to come and respond. But the manner in which we have planned the consultation process, we are going to be consulting this weekend in Limpopo on Saturday and Sunday, and then on Tuesday we're in the Free State, and then on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday we're in the Eastern Cape, and then the other Tuesday we're in Mpumalanga in Kwandebele, and then we'll go to Bushbuck Ridge, and then go to Nkomazi and Mbombela. And in all those consultations, we'll be meeting with traditional leadership and also with members of the community, with church leaders to receive input. And those inputs that we're going to be receiving will shape the nature and character of the organization. So this consultation process will culminate in a national convention, Maibuye National Convention, which is going to now adopt officially the founding documents and founding principles and founding constitution and policy frameworks as to what are the policy statements of Maibuye, and also a program of action to prepare for the upcoming elections, which must be contested with the aim of winning. And in the process of consultation, we will be identifying potential leaders for regional and sub-regional levels, to the extent that by the time we announce that we have agreed on a political party, these are the values, but this is who will be leading the party in all the 257 municipalities of South Africa and all the 54 regions and all the 9 provinces. We already have got provincial leadership that has been identified. But we can't announce a party before we get the input of all the people of South Africa. There has to be, you can think that you know everything, but you realize that every day and every time you listen to the inputs of the people, you get to learn something new every day. And we really appreciate the inputs that we got. And the good thing is that this process was being recorded as well. So when we're driving for long distances, we'll listen from our radios, put on the earphones, and want to refine some of the inputs, the very useful inputs that we got to receive from everyone. The other important aspect to highlight before the other leaders come is the process which our sister said that we should do in other professions what Maibuye Medics has already begun. So we've got doctors, Chauke and Biela, who came brilliantly with Maibuye Medics. It used to be called something else before. But it's Maibuye Medics, voluntary work, and it must be graduated into, it must be graduated from screening to many other functions as well. Provide healthcare into our communities, but also identify what are the things that we can do. Small-scale irrigation schemes to teach our people agriculture. The comrades that spoke first here, they said, we must focus on agriculture. We must begin to institute and support irrigation schemes which will help, and guarantee markets as well for the cash crops that will be produced out of that. And in some instances, if there is a water crisis in some of the villages, we can't use 100,000 rand to organize a protest march for water in a village. We're going to take that 100,000 and hire a borehole drilling machine and drill a borehole. And even if we put one pipe of water in that village, at least there have been change of the lives of our people. To constitute a party that is just a complaining and talking instrument. It will be compulsory in the whole movement that there must be social assistance programs that are conducted and done on a daily basis on all sectors. Skills empowerment, business symposiums, networking sessions, even our platforms. The website of Africa Maibuye must have a directory of where do you get quality black business opportunities, but also services. If you are looking for a lawyer, the lawyers must enlist there. If you are looking for a black accountant, you must enlist there. If you are looking for a proper accommodation services like Mulu, you found it there. Begin to support each other and not just be complainants every day. We must come with practical solutions that are going to improve the lives of our people. From my side, I'm truly humbled and determination much more revived now. That be rest assured that it's not a tantrum. This process is not a tantrum to try to fight against anyone. It's a genuine process which we actually have said that we must make it impossible, even in the registration of the party, for anyone to feel like they own that party. Not even myself. It must not be possible. It must be democratized foundationally so that all of us are held accountable, we are able to be held accountable to a process. If there are commitments that we make, we must be held accountable to those commitments. We must never and we will never create a cult in terms of what needs to be done. South Africa can't afford to have another cult. Let's have a movement that is going to be a true movement of the people to drive the long overdue and unfulfilled promise of true freedom and emancipation. Maguban.